You've been told to work hard, save money, and play it safe. But what if that advice is the reason you're still stuck? In this video, we're breaking down the real blueprint for building wealth, the strategies the rich use to buy freedom, not just things. From mastering cash flow to outsmarting taxes, this isn't theory, it's the mindset shift that changes everything. Section 1. The Middle Class Trap. Living below your means is not a strategy. They told you to save every penny. They told you to cut back on coffee, skip the vacations, and wait until retirement to enjoy life. For decades, the message has been clear. Live below your means, and one day, maybe, you'll be free. But here's the truth. You cannot shrink your way to wealth. Living below your means is a survival tactic, not a strategy for financial freedom. It's like trying to win a race by slowing down. You might avoid crashing, but you'll never reach the finish line first. Let's look at two people. Both earn $100,000 a year. Person A takes the conventional route. They max out their 401k, save diligently in a high-yield savings account, and live frugally. They clip coupons, skip the fancy dinners, and tell themselves they'll enjoy life later. Person B takes a different approach. They use $10,000 of their income to build a digital product, a niche online course about drone photography. Within a year, that product earns them $1,500 a month in passive income. They don't stop there. They reinvest part of that income into dividend-paying stocks and automate the business. 5 years later, Person A has a healthy savings account and a modest investment portfolio. Person B has multiple income streams and lives without depending on a job. The difference isn't discipline, it's direction. The middle-class mindset is about preservation. The wealth-building mindset is about creation. You were never meant to live your life in financial defense mode. Because the truth is, cost-cutting has a ceiling. But income has no upper limit. The most dangerous myth in personal finance is the idea that comfort is the goal. Comfort is a trap. It convinces you to stay safe instead of getting wealthy. And let's be honest, you don't want to live below your means. You want to expand your means. You want choices, options, freedom. Living below your means can keep you afloat, but it won't help you fly. So, how do the wealthy turn desire into strategy without guilt or debt? It starts with the next principle, making assets pay for your lifestyle. Section 2. Assets pay for liabilities. How the rich buy their toys and their freedom. The wealthy don't deny themselves luxury. They just refuse to pay for it the same way others do. They understand one rule: never buy a liability with earned income. First, acquire an asset. Then, let the asset pay for the liability. This isn't just about discipline, it's about design. Imagine wanting a new car. Most people save for years, take out a loan, or spend a big chunk of their paycheck. The result? A depreciating asset and a new monthly burden. But here's how the wealthy do it differently. Let's take the example of a woman named Clara. She wanted a luxury SUV that cost $80,000. Instead of pulling from her savings or financing the car with debt, she invested $20,000 into launching an automated e-commerce store that sold eco-friendly home products. It took 6 months of trial and error. But once the store was running, it produced $2,500 in monthly profit. She used that cash flow to cover the lease payments and insurance for her SUV. She didn't cut back her lifestyle. She upgraded it by making an asset pay for the liability. The rich repeat this process over and over. Want a vacation home? Buy rental property that covers the mortgage. Want to fly business class? Build a dividend portfolio that pays monthly. Want to upgrade your lifestyle? First, upgrade your income streams. This mindset removes guilt, because when your luxury is funded by assets, it's no longer a liability. It's a reward generated by systems you built. It's also protection. If you lose your job, but your assets are still performing, your lifestyle doesn't have to suffer. Most people work to earn money. The wealthy build machines that earn money for them. Those machines, whether they're businesses, real estate, or royalties, fund their lives. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter and letting your money work the hardest. So if building assets is the key, what kind of assets actually create freedom, and how can you start building them today? That's where the Cashflow Quadrant comes in. Is this conversation helpful so far? Section 3. The Cashflow Quadrant. Which side are you on? The world of money is divided into 4 corners. Each one represents a mindset, a lifestyle, and a limit, or a lack of one. This is the Cashflow Quadrant. On the left side are the E's and the S's. E stands for employee. S stands for self-employed. These are the people who exchange time for money. They might be hardworking, highly educated, even well-paid. But they are always working for income. When the work stops, the income stops. On the right side are the B's and the I's. B stands for business owner. I stands for investor. These are the people who earn money through systems, not effort. Through ownership, not hours. Most people spend their entire lives on the left side of the quadrant. They chase promotions, higher salaries, and better titles. But they stay locked in the same pattern, trading their time for someone else's dream. The right side plays a different game. Business owners build teams and processes that run with or without them. Investors use capital to generate more capital. They aren't looking for a job, they're looking for leverage. But here's the truth. No quadrant is better than the others. They're just different tools. The real power comes from understanding which tool builds wealth and how to move from one side to the other. You don't need to quit your job overnight to shift quadrants. You can start small. A freelance gig, a consulting side hustle, a rental unit, a content channel. Each of these can slowly move you from self-employment to ownership. It's not about becoming a billionaire. It's about building enough freedom that your income no longer depends on how many hours you work. One story illustrates this shift well. James was a senior analyst at a financial firm. High stress, high salary, but he knew he didn't want to stay there forever. He started freelancing on weekends, building financial models for startups. After 1 year, he had enough clients to form a small agency. 2 years later, he hired his first employee. Today, he owns the agency, and it runs without him. That's the power of the Cashflow Quadrant. You don't need permission. You just need a plan. Now you may wonder, if the wealthy use systems to make money, how do they keep more of it than everyone else? The secret lies in how they understand and use taxes. Section 4. Taxes. The rich don't avoid them, they outsmart them. For most people, taxes are the single largest expense in life. Bigger than housing, bigger than food, bigger than tuition. Yet almost no one is taught how taxes really work. The wealthy don't just earn differently, they're taxed differently. And it's not because they're cheating the system. It's because they understand how the system rewards certain behaviors. Let's look at the 4 parts of the Cashflow Quadrant again. Employees often pay around 40% of their income in taxes. It's taken directly from their paycheck. They earn, they're taxed, then they get to spend what's left. Self-employed people often pay even more, because now they pay both the employee and employer share of taxes. This can push their tax burden up to 60%. Worse, they're responsible for managing it themselves. Many successful freelancers and small business owners go broke simply because they didn't prepare for tax season. Business owners, very different story. Big businesses, with hundreds of employees, often pay 20% or less. Why? Because governments reward them for creating jobs, housing, innovation, and infrastructure. These aren't loopholes, they're incentives. Elon Musk didn't just build a company. He built factories, hired thousands, invested in research. Governments want more of that, so they offer benefits, grants, credits, deductions to make it happen. Investors can go even further. Through capital gains treatment, depreciation, and legal shelters, some professional investors pay as little as 0% in taxes on certain income. Imagine this. You buy a rental property. You collect rent each month. You deduct the property taxes, maintenance, interest, and even depreciation. Your income looks smaller on paper, but your cash flow remains strong. That's how the system rewards ownership. Now consider someone working 60 hours a week with no deductions, no credits, and no strategy. That's not a mistake. That's a design. The tax code isn't a punishment. It's a playbook. It tells you exactly what the government wants you to do. Create jobs, get a deduction. Provide housing, get a credit. Invest in clean energy, get a benefit. Understanding taxes isn't just for accountants. It's for anyone who wants to keep more of what they earn and use it to build even more. So if taxes are a mirror of your business structure, how do you know where you really stand? The answer lies in your financial statements. If you can't read a map, you can't reach your destination. Financial statements are the map of your wealth journey. They show where you are, where you're bleeding money, and where you're growing it. The problem? Most people never learn how to read them. Not in school, not at work, not even when managing their own finances. A financial statement is more than a spreadsheet. It's a snapshot of your financial health, and it comes down to 3 key parts. First, the income statement. This tracks your income and expenses. It tells you what's coming in and what's going out. But it's not enough to just have more income than expenses. You also need to understand the sources. Second, the balance sheet. This shows your assets and liabilities. It tells you what you own versus what you owe. Many people have high income but low net worth because they've never built real assets. Third, and most overlooked, is the statement of cash flows. This tracks the actual movement of money in and out of your life. It shows if your lifestyle is sustainable and whether your investments are producing real results. Let's take an example. A man named Luis made $90,000 a year working as a tech consultant. On paper, he was doing well, but his financial statement told a different story. His income was high, but so were his expenses. His assets were minimal, mostly a car and some savings. His liabilities included credit card debt and a mortgage. Then Luis took a course on personal finance. He created a proper financial statement. What he found shocked him. He had less than $1,000 in monthly cash flow after all his obligations. So he made changes. He paid off his highest interest debts. He sold his car and used public transport. With the savings, he invested in a short-term rental property. Within a year, his monthly cash flow jumped to $1,800. Today, he's financially independent. Why? Because he stopped guessing and started measuring. Financial statements aren't just for businesses. They're for anyone who wants control, anyone who wants clarity, anyone who wants to stop surviving and start scaling. If you walk into a bank asking for a loan, they don't care about your GPA. They care about your financial statement. Because that tells them if you're ready for responsibility. The better you know your numbers, the easier it becomes to grow them. But if school never taught you this, what else did it miss? And why does that gap keep so many people stuck? School teaches you to follow instructions, memorize facts, and avoid mistakes. It rewards compliance. It punishes risk. But in the real world, wealth is built on initiative, not obedience. Think about it. You can spend 16 years in school and still graduate without learning how to file taxes, read a financial statement, start a business, or invest money. You'll know how to write essays and take exams, but not how to build income or freedom. This isn't by accident. The education system was designed during the industrial era to produce workers, not owners. It trains people for job security, not financial independence. Now look at the patterns. Schools reward the A students, but in the world of wealth, many of the most successful people were C students, dropouts, or rebels. They weren't trained to follow, they were wired to create. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Richard Branson. These weren't straight-A students, they were visionaries. They understood something school never taught. Wealth isn't earned by playing safe, it's earned by thinking differently. Here's a story. Natalie was a top student, honors every year. She went on to earn a master's degree in literature. But after graduation, she struggled. Student loans, underpaid jobs, no roadmap. Eventually, she realized that academic success didn't guarantee financial success. So she started reading books on money. She learned about real estate, digital products, and cash flow. She built an online tutoring platform. Within 3 years, she was earning more passively than she did teaching full-time. What changed? She stopped thinking like a student. She started thinking like an owner. That's the shift. School trains you to get a high-paying job, but wealth comes from building high-value assets. It's not that education is bad, but it's incomplete. It gives you knowledge. Wealth demands application. The rules of school and the rules of money are not the same. In school, mistakes are punished. In business, mistakes are how you learn. In school, you work alone. In wealth, you build teams. In school, the answers are given. In life, you must seek them. So if school didn't teach you about wealth, then you must teach yourself. The good news is, you don't need permission. You just need commitment. And once you free yourself from old beliefs, a new question emerges. How do the wealthy get in on the best opportunities before the rest of the world even hears about them? In the world of money, timing isn't just important, it's everything. The wealthy don't wait for opportunities to appear on public websites. They create or access them before they're ever visible to the masses. This is what's known as inside access. And it's not the same as illegal insider trading. It's about being part of the inner circle, getting in early before the crowd arrives. When a company goes public, most people see it as the beginning. But for insiders, the real money was made long before the stock hits the market. Founders, early investors, and private equity groups often cash out as the public buys in. The game is structured so that those on the inside build wealth, while those on the outside buy the leftovers. But here's the surprising part. You don't need millions to start thinking like an insider. You just need to shift your position. One way is to join or build networks that attract deal flow, investor meetups, startup incubators, or industry masterminds. These groups often share private investment opportunities long before they're advertised publicly. Another way is to become a value-adding partner. If you have a skill, marketing, operations, design, you can join a small company early in exchange for equity. That's inside access. You're not buying stock, you're helping build the business. Take the example of Darius. He wasn't rich. He was a developer with a passion for fintech. He partnered with a small startup in exchange for part ownership and helped build their first product. 2 years later, the company was acquired. Darius walked away with more money than 5 years of his old job would have given him. He didn't gamble. He positioned himself. There's also real estate syndications. These are pooled investments where small investors can access big projects. By networking with the right sponsors, you gain entry to commercial deals that used to be reserved for institutions. The lesson is clear. Proximity matters. Information flows through networks. The closer you are to the source, the more options you have, and the better your odds of multiplying wealth. Waiting for the public announcement means you're already late. To build wealth like the wealthy, stop looking where everyone else is looking. Start stepping into rooms where the rules are different, and the opportunities are invisible to the crowd. But information and access aren't enough. To turn them into wealth, you need the final formula, one that combines learning, leverage, and action. Section 8. The real path to wealth. Learn, leverage, launch. Wealth isn't the result of luck. It's the result of intentional design. And there's a pattern, one that anyone can follow. It begins with 3 words: learn, leverage, launch. First, Learn. Not in the classroom, in the world. Learn how money moves. Learn how business works. Learn how to sell, how to negotiate, how to lead. Learn what creates value and how to deliver it consistently. Books, podcasts, mentors, failures, these are your real teachers. Second, leverage. This is the great secret of the wealthy. They don't rely on their own effort alone. They use systems, teams, software, content, and capital. Leverage means doing more with less. It means building something once that pays you over and over again. Imagine this. You write an ebook and publish it online. One-time effort, recurring income. You build a YouTube channel. One video earns you ad revenue for years. You invest in a property. Rent pays you every month, long after the work is done. That's leverage. Third, launch. Most people wait for perfect conditions, but nothing is perfect. Start anyway. Launch your idea. Launch your first product. Launch the habit of investing. Launch the decision to build, even if it's small. Look at Marcus. He started with a podcast recorded in his closet. He interviewed local entrepreneurs and built a tiny audience. That audience led to coaching clients. Those clients led to a group program. That program became a full business. Today, Marcus runs a multi-six-figure brand, all from launching a simple idea. The path isn't mysterious, it's repeatable. Learn new skills, leverage systems and relationships, launch something real into the world. You don't need more time, you need more direction. You don't need more effort, you need more strategy. This is the wealth equation. Learn the game, leverage the tools, launch with intent. Because wealth is built by design, not default. And when all of these pieces come together, something powerful happens. You break free from the system that keeps most people stuck. Let's finish with the rules that make that freedom last. Section 9. Closing lessons. The wealth building rules school won't teach you. Rule 1. Don't chase job titles. Chase ownership. A high-paying job can still be a financial cage if it's the only source of income. Ownership gives you leverage, growth, and freedom. Rule 2. Pay yourself first through assets. Before buying things that fade or depreciate, invest in something that grows, stocks that pay dividends, a small business with automation, real estate that earns monthly cash flow, a business that runs on autopilot, a product that sells without you, a portfolio that compounds quietly. Systems don't get tired. They don't take breaks. They scale. Rule 5. The greatest investment you'll ever make is in your mindset. Learn to think like an owner, not an employee. Like a builder, not a consumer. Like a strategist, not a follower. Every financial transformation starts with one decision: to stop accepting the script written for you and start writing your own. This isn't about becoming a billionaire. It's about building a life that works without depending on anyone else's permission. You don't have to be born rich to live rich. You just have to stop thinking like the poor. Choose assets over status. Choose ownership over employment. Choose freedom over familiarity, because the system won't change for you, but you can change the system for yourself. You don't have to be born into wealth to live a life of freedom. But you do have to think differently. Learn how money moves. Leverage tools and people. Launch something that works for you, even while you sleep. Track your cash flow. Build your assets. And remember, the system won't make you rich, but now you know how to break free from it.